HHS Secretary RFK Jr. just pulled nearly $500 million in funding for mRNA vaccine development, Dad.
You know, this may not be the most spectacular of all maneuvers by the Trump administration. It's kind of a bit flown under the radar. It's not that the news hasn't reported it, but it hasn't been quite given the same attention as, for example, the firing of federal officials, the dismantling of government agencies, the attempt to rewrite and undermine the Constitution on birthright citizenship. But this could be, maybe if not the worst, one of the most dangerous, the worst moves made by this administration or any administration in the history of the country.
Wow.
I'll repeat that. This could be one of the worst, most dangerous moves made by this administration or any administration in the history of the United States. What is mRNA? This is a huge breakthrough in vaccine technology. The old technology relied upon priming your immune system through vaccines that utilize dead or deactivated viruses. mRNA vaccines bypass that. They utilize RNA, which is the messenger component of DNA, to prime your immune system without having to utilize deactivated or dead viruses. Do you know who started the development of these vaccines during COVID-19? Was it some lunatic Democrat?
Donald John Trump.
Exactly, yes. Remember Operation Warp Speed that led to the development of the mRNA vaccines. Not only are they more effective and safer than the old technology, they have an enormous advantage, as we saw with Operation Warp Speed, that they can be developed rapidly and relatively cheaply and become available broadly to the American people, as we saw during the COVID-19 pandemic. Depending upon which independent study you look at, the mRNA vaccines have saved at least many hundreds of thousands, more likely millions of lives. Canceling future development of this vaccine makes every American vulnerable to future pandemics. You know, RFK Jr. has claimed, and I didn't see him cite any scientific studies on this, that these vaccines are not safe or effective, when in fact all of the independent scientific studies suggest just the opposite. He's just talking off the top of his head. Said he consulted with FDA and other officials. Guess who appointed those officials, Sam, that he consulted with?
Trump.
They're not independent experts. They haven't conducted extensive studies of these vaccines.
But it's not just a risk to Americans, because the folks that develop these viruses come from America usually, and then they distribute them usually to the rest of the world. So folks in Asia, Africa,
everywhere. This is a threat to the people of the world.
A lot of the vaccines they get are first developed here in the United States.
Right. And it forfeits America's leadership in scientific development when it comes to combating pandemics like COVID-19. And you know they're going to happen. I can't tell you when they're going to happen, but it's overwhelmingly likely they are going to happen. And we've crippled, for no good reason, just because of RFK Jr.'s unfounded quack science biases against vaccines. We've essentially disarmed ourselves when it comes to fighting future pandemics and really undermine not only the American people, but people all over the world. And this further underscores something that I have so many times emphasized, that confirmation hearings are absolutely worthless. RFK Jr. can say anything he wants. Oh, I'm not going to undermine, American health or vaccines. People who want them will still be able to get them. And then once he's in office, Sam, how much does he have to go by what he said?
He doesn't at all. Yeah, you're not a scientist, but you know about these political hearings, and you're always up in arms, and you're always saying they're lying, they're not telling the truth. These senators have to dig deeper, and they seem to never do that.
They never do that. And come on, how could anyone believe? I don't know how old the guy is, but I think he's over 60, right? Can you check his age?
Yeah.
He's been around for decades and has led the anti-vax movement for decades. And you think, what he says...
He's 71.
He's 71, so he's been around even longer. So you think what he says when he's trying to get confirmed is somehow going to contradict a lifetime of quack science and anti-vaccine agitation? It's just astounding that this person should be the most important health official in the United States and maybe the most important health official in the world. But just don't take my word for it. Let's look at what the leading independent experts on infectious diseases and vaccines have had to say. This is Michael Osterholm, who runs the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota. He's not a politician. He is an expert in infectious disease. This is what he has to say, Sam. This is shocking. Quote, "This may be the most dangerous public health judgment that I've seen in my 50 years in the business. The most dangerous public health judgment I've seen in my 50 years in this business. Jeez. It is baseless, and we will pay a tremendous price in terms of illnesses and deaths." Jennifer Nuzzo, who runs the Brown University School of Public Health Pandemic Center, quote, "This is a profoundly disappointing development. When there's the next pandemic, we're going to be caught flat-footed. It absolutely leaves the country vulnerable." Chris Merkins, who was a top official in biodefense in guess what administration, Sam?
Tell me.
First Trump administration. Again, not some lunatic left-winger. Quote, "I think that it endangers the national security of the United States."
Wow.
National security, beyond health. It could put the U.S. at a strategic national security disadvantage and would be a significant threat to the national security of the United States. Here is the absurd justification that Kennedy has given. Not cited any studies or independent authorities. He said, quote, "After reviewing the science and consulting top experts at NIH and FDA, that is, more quack scientists that, they appointed, we have determined that the mRNA technology poses more risk than benefit against these respiratory viruses." Absolute gobbledygook, Sam.
Yeah, I believe after he put out some video making all these claims, and they were instantly fact-checked, and so many of them were twistings of the truth or just flat-out lies.
Yeah, remember, this is a guy who put out a report which cited non-existent surveys and studies that were just fabricated, and they called it a formatting error. My freshman students wouldn't get away with that. A formatting error has to do with how you highlight paragraphs or sections of your report. Citing non-existent studies is not a formatting error. And scientists have further pointed out, even when they cite existing studies, they fundamentally twist them and misinterpret them. Let's look at Dr. Peter Hotez, the dean of the Baylor College of Medicine's National School of Texas of Tropical Medicine, who runs the Texas Children's Hospital Center for Vaccine Development. Hardly someone, immersed in a deep blue state. Dr. Hotez says his science is backwards, as it often is. This is a proven technology for emerging respiratory viruses or respiratory virus pandemics. It is extremely safe and has been incredibly effective. Look at another former first-term Trump official, Rick Bright, who ran the vaccine research operation during the first Trump administration. Again, not some loony lefty. He said, quote, "It is irresponsible to strip funding from future technologies with great potential and shift it towards outdated, old-fashioned technologies." That is, relying on the old, much less effective technology of dead or deactivated viruses, as if that was some leap forward. In fact, it's a step backward, according to this top vaccine official in the first Trump administration. In fact, he says, quote, "We're taking our country from 2025 back to 1940. And we all know that is a recipe for failure, for disaster and failure. A recipe for disaster and failure. In an outbreak, when you're facing a rapidly spreading virus, whether it's from nature or a nation-state adversary, thus national security, speed is the name of the game. And this isn't the first set of research that they canceled. The same article points out they had previously canceled a $766 million contract with the vaccine company Moderna to develop an mRNA vaccine to protect people against flu strains like the bird flu with pandemic potential. Final point, I'll let Dr. Hotez speak for us, Sam. The deleterious impact is not only in the contracts that they're canceling, but that they're trying to make the case to the public that mRNA technology doesn't work very well and it's unsafe, and that's absolutely untrue. So not only are they going to cast doubt on mRNA vaccines, they're going to further the agenda, the crazy quack science, dangerous agenda of RFK Jr. And we saw how deadly that was in the very small nation of Samoa when he cast out on the measles vaccine. So this is going to have enormous ramifications, even beyond our ability to develop new vaccines to protect us from ongoing viral threats. It's going to make people less likely to trust and to take vaccines. And that hurts not only those who are unvaccinated, but all those they come into contact with. The implications are stunning and deadly.
Yeah, screw that guy, RFK Jr. He sucks.
Yeah, what has he done that's beneficial?
I mean, some people say, he's going against ultra-processed foods, which is fine.
That's fine, but
that's the only thing I've really heard.
The only thing, and it's unclear how much of an impact that's going to have anyway.